Wait... What? Okay, let's pause for a moment so I can just give you the one-line review of this game. Perspective is incredible and free. There is no reason for you not to play this game. It is without a doubt one of the most inventive, mind-blowing and fascinating puzzle platformers that I think I've ever played. When I played this for the first time, I remember thinking that it felt to me like the spiritual successor to Portal. I guess it's the sci-fi look of the cramped environment, the contrasting blue and orange, and the mind-bending think outside the box puzzles in a 3D space. Playing it again, the blue and orange colour scheme even felt like a reference to Portal, but I could easily be making that up. They are a fairly common choice of contrasting colours. Like in Tron Legacy, Rocket League, the logo of these board game designers peeking just out the side of my monitor, and every action movie poster ever made. But I should probably talk about how this game works. Perspective is a game where you move a character through 2D levels by moving around in a 3D world to alter the 2D levels by changing your perspective of objects in the 3D world. And if that doesn't make you want to play it, then I don't know what will. There's a very clear visual design. Blue objects are surfaces in the 2D world, forming platforms, walls and ceilings. Red objects are deadly in the 2D world and kill you if you touch them. Everything else doesn't exist. If it isn't bright red or blue, then it isn't a part of the level when you start playing in 2D. So if what you see on the screen looks like this, then the level you're actually playing on looks like this. You need to switch back and forth a lot between moving in the 3D environment and moving the spaceman on the 2D levels, and the developers came up with an ingenious method for switching between the two. Clicking the mouse. Perfect. Having the switch between 2D and 3D be so easy to pull off and also instantaneous lets all the little perspective adjustments that you need to make a lot of so easy to do. And as a result, the gameplay is wonderfully fluid. One big problem that quite a lot of puzzle games have, especially very thinky ones, are the robotic moments, where you've already solved the puzzle theoretically, but now you need to input all the commands to solve the puzzle in the game. You're not really doing anything interesting at times like this, you're just carrying out a list of tasks without any extra creativity or control, just like a robot would. Alright, that's not a great term, but it gets the point across. Because of the fluid controls in perspective, these moments almost never happen. The time it takes to move from a solve to completion is so short. It's either the satisfaction of making progress or the mentally stimulating puzzle of the game with no downtime in between. Even though perspective is only about an hour long, it was packed with these oh my god moments, these little epiphanies where a new idea finds its way from outside the box to inside your mind, and you discover a new and creative way to toy with the game's mechanics. So you work out really easily how to link up blue bars along a wall to make a flat path, but then the game asks you to move a spaceman to the opposite side of the room. How can you look at the spaceman in front of you and the goal behind you to build a level? But then you start to realise what you can do when objects are placed in the middle of a room. Later you realise that it's not just about manipulating the blue and red, there are times when you need to think about controlling the negative spaces as well. Then suddenly none of the blue platforms are linking up anymore because it's around a corner. And your mind goes back to an oddity that you noticed in one of the earlier levels but thought nothing of. When you swap back out into the 3D camera, the spaceman sticks to whatever surface was behind it. And when you remember that, a seemingly impossible challenge now has a solution. I wrote a list of over a dozen of these new ways to solve levels, but for the sake of not ruining the game, I'll stop here. Perspective pulls out new tricks like a magician does multicoloured handkerchiefs. You think there can't possibly be any more in there, but they just keep on coming.
What? How?
A real magician never tells, young man.
There were only 2 moments in the game where I could have any criticism, where, because of a moving platform, the solution to a level required a bit of reflexes and timing, and that didn't seem to fit with how the rest of the game was played. Interestingly, when I was reading an interview with the developers, one of them said something quite related to this. The other goal I've had with the level design is to keep the game from being reflex intensive. Yes, you do control a platforming character, but the player should never feel like they're performing a platforming challenge. The goal is for all of the levels to be focused on the puzzle solving. So I think if asked, he would probably agree that these were the worst moments, but I really am nitpicking here. It's not even like it was 2 bad levels in the game, each one was just a slightly awkward set of jumps that made up one small part of one level. A few tens of seconds at most. I probably wouldn't have even brought it up if it didn't stand out as my only criticism of the entire game. Logan Feith, or Feith, who I just quoted, later went on to a company called Pillow Castle, who teased a game called Museum of Simulated Technology, which also uses perspective-based puzzles. However, that was 5 years ago, and after a short update 3 years ago, they largely went silent. But, in a huge coincidence, just as I was writing this review, the project once again showed signs of life with an announcement at E3 2019, though the working title for the game has now changed to Superliminal. As I said at the start, Perspective is free. Just go to the DigiPen Academy website and you'll be able to download the game, as well as a whole host of others. It won't require a huge time commitment and it gets into the good stuff almost immediately, so the next time you finish a game and don't know what to start up next, just go and download this and you'll have a great time with it.